The first thing the night nurse noticed was that room 417 had its call light on, glowing softly at the end of a hallway that was supposed to be empty. The second thing was that room 417 did not exist on the hospital's admission board. By the time she reached the door, the intercom crackled with a voice that used her full name, slowly, deliberately, as if it had been waiting for her to remember it. Every doctor who worked that shift would later agree on one thing. Whatever was inside that room had been there far longer than any of them. St. Mercy General sat on the edge of a Midwestern city most people passed through, but never stayed in. A concrete block of aging architecture built in the late 1960s, when hospitals were designed to intimidate illness rather than comfort the sick. By day, the building felt merely outdated. By night, it transformed into something else entirely. An echoing labyrinth of humming fluorescents, scuffed linoleum floors, and air vents that whispered constantly, as if the structure itself were breathing shallow, restless breaths. The night shift always carried a different rhythm, fewer voices, longer shadows, machines that seemed louder only because there was nothing left to drown them out. Monitors beeped in arrhythmic patterns, elevators groaned as they traveled empty between floors, and somewhere deep in the building, pipes knocked with a persistence that sounded uncomfortably intentional. On this particular night, Nurse Elena Morales was working her third consecutive 12-hour overnight shift. She had been a nurse for nearly 8 years, long enough to develop the emotional calluses necessary to survive the job. She believed in medicine, in charting, in vitals and procedures. She did not believe in ghosts. She especially did not believe in the stories older nurses whispered during smoke breaks, the ones about phantom patients, sealed wards, and rooms that were better left locked. At least, she hadn't believed them before. The census was light that night. Too light. Entire wings of the 4th floor had no patients assigned, a cost-saving measure that administrators called strategic consolidation. The reality was that whole corridors sat dark, doors closed, beds made and unused, like hotel rooms waiting for guests who would never arrive. At 2:13 a.m., Elena was charting at the central nursing station when the call light panel chimed softly. Room 417. She frowned. 4th floor, east wing. That wing had been closed for nearly 6 months due to renovations that never seemed to start. Elena checked the board again. No patient listed. No physician assigned. No room 417. She assumed it was a malfunction. Old wiring. Outdated systems. It happened. Then the intercom activated on its own. "Elena," a voice said. It was weak, breathy, strained, but unmistakably human. She froze, fingers hovering above the keyboard. No patient should know her name, unless she introduced herself. No one should have been able to speak from that wing at all. "Elena," the voice repeated, softer this time. "It hurts to breathe." The charge nurse glanced up. "Did you hear that?" Elena nodded slowly. "Probably someone transferred wrong in the system," the charge nurse muttered, already tired. "Go check it. Bring security if you need." Elena grabbed a flashlight, clipped her badge back into place, and started down the hallway. The lights dimmed automatically as she moved farther from the nurses' station, motion sensors activating one section at a time. Her footsteps echoed too loudly, each sound bouncing back at her in distorted fragments. The East Wing doors were unlocked. That was the second thing that bothered her. They were supposed to be sealed shut. The air changed immediately when she crossed the threshold. It felt colder, heavier, carrying the faint metallic smell of antiseptic layered over something older. Dust, decay, abandonment. Her flashlight beam skimmed across walls where paint peeled in long strips, and signage had been removed, leaving pale rectangles like scars. Halfway down the corridor, she saw it. Room 417. The door was slightly ajar. The call light above it glowed steadily. "Elena," the voice came again, now closer, clearer. "Please. They said you'd come." Her stomach tightened. She placed one hand on the wall to steady herself and nudged the door open with her foot. The room looked occupied. The bed was raised. The sheets were rumpled. A heart monitor stood beside it, powered on, its screen pulsing with a slow, irregular rhythm. 4 tubing hung from a pole, disappearing beneath the blanket that covered the patient's body. A man lay in the bed, mid-50s, maybe older. His skin had a grayish pallor that reminded Elena of long ICU stays. His eyes were open, unfocused, glassy, staring at the ceiling as if trying to remember something important that refused to come back. "Elena," he whispered again, turning his head toward her with visible effort. "They keep leaving." She stepped closer, professional instincts overriding fear. She checked the monitor. There was no patient ID number, no name, no recorded vitals history. Yet the heart rhythm was there, jagged and unstable. "Sir," she said carefully, "I'm going to get a doctor." His hand shot out from beneath the covers and wrapped around her wrist. His grip was cold. Not cool. Cold, like skin that hadn't been warmed by blood in a long time. "They already came," he said. "They said it was time, but I can still feel it." Elena tried to pull away, but his grip tightened with surprising strength. "That's not possible," she whispered, more to herself than to him. She glanced around the room, searching for any indication of recent use. The supply cabinet was stocked with equipment the hospital hadn't used in years. The crash cart in the corner bore an outdated logo from before the last rebranding. The monitor alarm suddenly screamed. Flatline. The man's eyes snapped wide open. "No," he gasped. "Not again!" The lights flickered violently. The heart monitor spasmed, jumping erratically between rhythms that made no medical sense. Elena shouted for help, her voice swallowed by the hallway beyond the door. The man began to convulse, not violently, but wrong, as if his body were remembering emotion rather than performing it. His mouth opened wider than it should have, lips trembling, as a sound escaped that was half breath, half sob. "They never finished," he croaked. "They said the wing was closing. They said I wouldn't feel it." The temperature in the room plummeted. Frost spiderwebbed across the metal railings of the bed. Elena felt pressure building behind her ears, the sensation of descending too quickly in an airplane. The monitor screamed again, then abruptly went dark. The man's grip loosened. His body sank into the mattress as if the bed were swallowing him, the sheets collapsing inward, IV tubing snapping loose and clattering to the floor. And then, he was gone. The bed was empty. The monitor powered off. The room smelled faintly of burned plastic and something else Elena couldn't place. Silence returned, heavy and absolute. Elena stumbled backward, heart pounding so hard she could hear it over the hum of the building. She ran, down the corridor, through the unlocked doors, back into the lit, living part of the hospital where sound and movement still existed. Security arrived. Administration was notified. Maintenance was called. Room 417 was inspected. There was no bed, no monitor, no IV pole. In fact, there was no room 417 at all. The east wing ended at 416. Old blueprints, pulled from storage weeks later, revealed something unsettling. Decades earlier, before modern record systems, there had been a room 417. It was sealed after a patient died during a rushed evacuation when the wing was permanently closed following a structural safety violation. His name appeared once in an archived incident report. Cause of death, respiratory failure during transport delay. Time of death, 2:13 a.m. Elena transferred hospitals within a month. She no longer works night shifts. She still wakes up some nights, convinced she hears a call light, chiming somewhere down a hallway that should not exist. And St. Mercy General quietly removed the number 417 from all future renovations.
Thank you for watching C&T Horror Stories, where the shadows speak and the night never ends. If you made it this far, you're braver than most. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because there are many more stories waiting in the dark, and they're getting impatient.